This podcast is brought to you by Legend Comics and Coffee in Omaha, Nebraska, located in scenic downtown Benson. They got a new location. It's absolutely gorgeous. Check it out. And by listeners like you. Go to Patreon/Two-Headed Nerd. Become a patron. Support this show.
Once, they were two best friends managing a comic book store. But when an innocent blood oath went wrong, the two found themselves trapped in the same body, imprisoned in a strange pyramid made of long boxes, buried deep below their hometown, where they are doomed to discuss comic books until the end of time. They were once Joe and Matt. Now they are known as the Two-Headed Nerd. And this is their podcast.
Broadcasting from the Ziggurat in Omaha and caverns deep below the metro area, it is our pleasure to welcome you to episode 754 of the Two-Headed Nerd comic book podcast. I'm your head number one, and my name is Matt Baum.
I am the Internet's Joe Patrick, your head number two for this evening, or whenever it is you listen to this. It's time for another new comics show where we'll review 8 new comics from the past 2 weeks. After that, we'll set you up first time, baby. One take Patrick's what they call it.
Yeah, but now I got to edit this. Just don't act like you've been there.
Let them know I made a mistake.
Like you've been there.
It's fine. I'm a human, man. After that, we'll set you up with our must-read picks for next week's new comics.
And finally, you'll get a taste of our Patreon Extra, where our Cosmic Short Box has us revisiting the first time Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale teamed up to tell a spooky Batman Halloween story in the pages of Legends of the Dark Knight Halloween Special number 1. But
we had a heck of a time remembering what the name of this segment's supposed to be.
But we have got a pile of new comics to discuss first, so get ready for new Avengers team jackets, full frontal Wolverine, Dazzler going full Taylor Swift, and more, because it's review time in the Ziggurat.
First, the rules of this nerdy Thunderdome. Each comic will be judged using our 3-point rating scale of buy it, skim it, or leave it, which our AI Macho is trying to make more accessible by posting our actual reviews on twoheadednerd.com.
We gave him an upgrade and he sounds like David Attenborough now. It's awesome.
But it seems to have just caused more confusion and further outcry for a point system.
They want
Matt,
it.
nobody's crying for a
point system. They are crying for it. You should see the postcards we're getting. Did you even know we had a P.O. box? I bet you didn't.
Right. Macho, if you please.
With pleasure, Mr. Joe. And now THN presents comic book reviews from the week of Wednesday, September 11th, Patriots Day in the United States.
We begin with Wolverine, number 1 from Marvel. It's the very first time he's ever had a series, and it's about time. It's written by Saladin Ahmed, main cover and art by Martin Kokolo, with colors by Brian Valenza, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit.
I believe that it is legacy number 393.
Something like that, yeah.
They could have just waited and launched it with number 400.
Oh, don't kid yourself. We'll still get a 400, Joe. Come on. And I'll bet it's separate from this series as well.
No, it'll be number 7.
We'll get a number 7 and a 400. You watch.
Oh boy.
Calling my shot. Here's your solicit. The legend begins anew in the adamantium tough new ongoing series. I wonder why they're mentioning the metal like that. There's a killer in the woods. And as Wolverine's attempt at peace is shattered, an old enemy will reemerge as a new villain rises who will bring Logan to the brink of his berserker rage. But Nightcrawler knows his old friend is capable of doing what's right. And before long, Logan, not in all caps now, will have to unleash his claws, push his healing factor to the limit, and demonstrate he's the best there is at what he does once and for all. Nice be damned.
You only gotta shout the name one time.
I guess. The legendary Wolverine ongoing series kicks off anew with superstar creative team of Saladin Ahmed, who worked on Daredevil and the Magnificent Miss Marvel, and Martin Kokolo, who worked on Deadpool and Immortal Thor, beginning their first epic journey with Logan. Collector's note, Joe. This is a collector's note. Pay attention, collectors. A key first appearance and a major addition to the lore of Wolverine in this issue. Yeah, they're calling their
Was
shot.
there?
They're calling their shot, Joe.
Yeah, but was there?
Well, if a piece of black slime in the pages of Secret Wars #8 is the first appearance of Venom, then sure.
Well, no, it's not the first appearance of Venom. It's the first appearance of the black costume.
Right.
Different.
Well, they call it the first appearance of Venom. So
No, they don't.
So-
They call Spider-Man 300 the first appearance of Venom.
tell that to the person that bought that page for $1 million, Joe.
Yeah,
All right?
well, people are stupid, Matt. Rich people especially are stupid.
We begin with a naked Wolvie running with the wolves. We haven't seen this for a while, right? Bestial Wolvie.
It's so funny to me because Wolverine is not at all related to a wolf.
No,
Like,
he's not. And you know what? I'll counter that with also, I thought he was in Louisiana, but
I mean, he knows a billion teleporters and they have a jet.
I mean,
so.
I guess, but like, this is one of the things I'm going to bring up in my review is like, when is this taking place? Is this before or
come on
after
now. We've had
Uncanny
conversations
X-Men?
like this.
No,
These things don't.
No, Joe, because this character is acting completely different than the character in Uncanny X-Men. This character can't be around anybody right now, bro. Not after what happened. He's butt naked running around the woods. And in Uncanny X-Men, he's clothed and doing pretty well and having conversations
It must
with
take
Rogue
place
and
before
Gambit.
Uncanny X-Men.
It's weird.
If he can't be around anybody because of what happened on Krakoa, then this happens in between what happened on Krakoa and Uncanny X-Men.
Okay, well, when this goes on for 6
what I'm
months,
saying.
then what? What are we going to say?
Well, I mean, we'll see. One storyline, who knows?
I like the design page, like the intro dump page that has a picture of Wolverine. Tells you everything you need to know about his history right there. Here we go. It's got all the stars, including, Cyber.
Look, man, Cyber's cool.
No, he's not. He's not.
He's like,
cool.
what if Wolverine?
Nope.
What if Wolverine? But the adamantium was all over his skin and not it.
do not think Cyber is cool. I know that for a fact.
I don't know shit about Cyber except he got hollowed out by flesh-eating beetles.
Well, he's feeling much better
90s.
now, apparently. Okay, and
Krakoa probably fucking resurrected him, the idiot.
Yeah. I would hope they learn their lesson after Omega Red, but fuck Cyber. I mean, nobody cares about Cyber. He's 90s throwaway bullshit. Look, things to be happy about. Nightcrawler is here. He doesn't have a beard anymore. I like that. Although there's some weird stuff that goes down with the Nightcrawler thing. Like he kind of gets almost shot, but not really shot. Like the bullet grazes him.
It grazes him.
And Wolverine's like, oh, he's going to die. And these campers that just saw their friend get murdered by Cyber immediately turn on Wolverine. And they're like, yeah, he said he was looking for you. We should murder you. Like, well, what about, I'm here to stop the guy that murdered your friend. And they're just like instantly mad. And there's some weirdness here. I will say the book looks really good. I do think Wolvie's hair looks a little funny. In some pages, it's a little too perfectly triangular.
It is. It's strange, man.
I think he's got a brood head, you know? And the fight scenes are good.
He does. He has a brood head.
Right?
Yeah,
right?
He does.
The fight scenes
He's got 1990s Rob Liefeld feral hair.
Yeah. The fight scenes I thought were good. There's not a whole lot you can do to get really, detailed with the art when everything is set in the snow and trees and the forest, I guess. But the art looks good. I will say, as much as Cyber sucks, this new design here, probably the best design I've seen on the character. So
he looks the same to me.
Pluses for that. No, he's got like fingernail claws. He's wearing clothes.
No,
and stuff.
he's got his fingers had retractable adamantium claws.
Oh, that's true. They're just drawing him a little better, but he is wearing clothes and stuff, and he's got a gun. He's not just running around like a dumbass that could never fit in public. So here's my review. Maybe I expected a little more from Saldana Ahmed's Wolverine #1 than this fairly generic setup. Logan is back in the Yukon, running with wolves. Cyber shows up to kill him. I suppose you could replace Cyber with any Wolvie villain and you'd get it. But this is a particular kind of setup. And maybe it's one we've seen too many times, but there's a twist here. When we do learn the reason Ahmed chose Cyber, the twist comes off as more forced than clever. Kokolo makes the issue look very good. It's hard to get too flashy in the frozen north when all the background is snow and trees. The creative team is continuing Ben Percy's ultra-violent Wolvie, though, which sells a lot of comics. It also doesn't work so well for me at time, like Wolverine getting all mad and stabbing your eyes out and shit. Like, I get it. He's violent. He goes into berserker rage, but like, come on, he's also a good guy, right?
I mean, I don't know. He wouldn't have hesitated to cut Cyber's head off if he could have.
I guess. The way he was talking, though, was just like straight up murder. This is a strange first issue, though, that feels like it's kind of forcing a new villain on readers, but I do appreciate the collectible warning, so I am going to make sure to back and board this one. I'm only giving it a skim it. I wasn't thrilled about it, and it seems like they're really forcing this metal thing, and I get it.
I was only going to give it a skim it until I read the collectible warning.
Yeah. Now that I know it's this collectible, it's a buy it.
No. Cyber also has the psionic ability to track brainwaves.
Great.
So he's a psychic tracker.
Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, useful for an assassin, I suppose. This is a skim it for me too, and it's weird because I wanted to like it. Like, I don't have anything against Cyber, like whatever. I don't care enough about him.
I'm not saying I'm going to put
a negative opinion.
Yeah, I'm not going to put a book down if he's in it, but like,
right. I mean, he's a guy, like, he's a tough guy from the 90s. He's got adamantium skin.
Right.
Okay.
I don't
sure,
think of him
why
as a
not?
threat to Wolverine. I mean,
No, like, I think in the 90s they played him up as being like, oh, Wolverine's great, most dangerous enemy.
Yeah, and we all went,
Fuck that
okay.
shit. Like, Wolverine knows Sabretooth. I
Right.
don't think so. Like, Cyber might be tough, but no. Oh, he also knows Magneto. Magneto could yank the metal off of his
Sure,
skin.
but-
Like, come on.
But what does he have that none of those characters have?
Psionic tracking abilities?
No, adamantium, Joe.
Oh, he's got adamantium. That's true. He's got adamantium skin.
And the sounds
And-
of the adamantium clanging.
And pointy claws.
Echoed
And
through
poison
the Great
pointy
White
claws.
North. And the new collectible enemy was like, did you hear that? I hate it.
Right. Yes, yes, it was that little.
That's
yes,
what
the
I'm
thing in the
talking
cave.
about. That's the
Yeah.
completely
No, you're right.
forced
You're right.
part.
It woke up. It woke up because they clanged their arms
Yeah,
together, like Quantum and Woody. They clanged their bracelets together.
What are we doing?
So anyway, I have nothing against Cyber technically, but I don't really think he's super cool. I thought this issue was just okay.
It's just okay.
I don't know. There are individuals in our Discord who I won't name by name because I don't want to call anybody out and get them in trouble online, but who have pointed out things about Saladin Ahmed's writing in the past. And this is the first time where I read a Saladin Ahmed comic and I went, yeah, this was nothing special.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
I think the art is good. I think it also gets very strange. And yeah, for those reasons, it's a skim it for me. I really was expecting to like it more.
I was too.
My first review of the week goes to The Horizon Experiment, The Manchurian. It's a one-shot from Image Comics. It's written by Pornsack Pitchett-Choate, with pencils and colors by Terry Dodson, inks by Rachel Dodson, letters and design by Jeff Powell, color flats by John Ursek. Another credit for the flatter. Good on you, boys. 40 pages for $3.99. Here is your solicit. Series premiere. No caps. Thank you, Image.
Yeah. It's a very serious series premiere.
A Muslim exorcist, a reverse Indiana Jones, and more. The Horizon Experiment are one-shots created by comics, film, and TV superstars, providing new POVs on popular genres and acting as pilots for new series. It starts with The Manchurian, a Chinese James Bond running covert missions in America for the enemy. Now, this is actually an advanced review of a book that comes out next week. Thank you again, Image.
To be fair, we thought it was coming out last week, and everything pointed to it coming out last week.
to be fair, Image's communication about their release schedule is all over the fucking place.
Yeah, it's
and
wild.
We had a hell of a time figuring it out today. The Manchurian is the first book in the Horizon Experiment, courtesy of Pornsack Pitchett-Choate. And the idea is for creators from varied backgrounds, and they are given the following prompt. Create a protagonist from a marginalized background set in a popular genre, where if the background of your protagonist changed, so would your story.
Sure.
For example, a Chinese James Bond where his heritage is part of the plot. And the key differences there are really interesting. First, Chinese espionage, it's all corporate because that's where they believe the true power lies.
Yeah.
Whoever runs all the corporations, has all the power, and they're probably right. Second, Chinese spies are actually more like handlers that cultivate relationships with people that become overly comfortable and share secrets accidentally. Or as the book explains it, quote, they're regular people getting someone to share 3 facts when they should only share 2, which I think is so clever.
Love it. Love it. Yeah.
But sometimes things go wrong, and that's where the Manchurian comes in, aka Calvin Lowe. It's a really fun premise. Calvin is very likable, charming, and of course, sexy. The first time we see him, he's got his shirt off and he's dripping wet. Hey, ladies, and hey, some dudes. He's a hottie. And the issue has more action than that description would imply. There's plenty of fisticuffs and intrigue. Pidgeot Shote goes full Hickman with graphs and communication transcripts, but instead of confusing me and making me feel stupid, they actually add to the story. There was like a graph that showed the structure of the Chinese espionage organization, whatever it's called.
We're looking at it right now, the MSS, the Ministry of State Security, the MSS.
Yeah. And, and Calvin falls in this like 13th little atom circling the nucleus that's kind of grayed out.
It's great. It's 007. You may or may not exist. Nobody knows
and they're
about
called
it,
Manchus.
Yeah.
Manchus or Manchurian. And that's his department. And it's kind of this shadow department. It's great. It's super clever, very interesting.
Yeah.
The art by the Dodsons, it's pretty okay. It's fairly standard stuff if you're familiar with their past work. The backgrounds, I found them to be oddly sparse. There's a lot of backgrounds that just aren't done.
Yeah, this kind of furthers some of those what's going on with the Dodsons conversations that have been going around.
Yeah. I mean, look, still very talented, clearly.
It still looks good. But
there's some stuff that's just like,
this is not the Dodsons of yore. It just isn't.
It's not the Dodsons of yore. Yeah, that is fair to say. So here is my review. The Horizon experiment sounds like a really interesting project. I'm very excited for The Sacred Damned, which is the Muslim Hellblazer concept previewed in this issue, written by the writer of one of my comics from later in the show. Sorry in advance. As far as this issue goes, Pidgeot Shote is a very smart writer, approaching a beloved genre from a unique angle. I really enjoyed the Manchurian one-shot. I hope we get more of it. Like I said, these are all like pilots with the hope that they'll springboard into ongoings.
That's what a pilot is.
Or at least longer form series. And I hope that it happens. I'm giving this one a buy it.
I think it could be tough here because while you and I are saying it on a show and we have some listeners that might hear that and check it out because of it, I don't know that there's anything like on the front of the book that lets you know what's going on. So a lot of people might just go, it's a one shot. I don't care. It's kind of tough. I hope this.
Well, I don't think it says one shot on the cover though, does it?
It just says 01, but it doesn't, there's nothing. I mean, I hope.
So it opens with the description of the project.
Right. And this is good. And I love the idea of the project. It's a super fun experiment. And of course, Pidgeot Shote nails this. And you're right. The little things that they did just to set aside like, hey, he's Asian. So his culture is going to be slightly different. So he's going to handle this a different way. He's still sexy. He still, nails hot chicks and stuff.
Yeah,
just like
he's still a Bond-esque.
But things work slightly different, and it's really interesting. Really well done. I do agree. A little bit of weirdness in the art. I'm giving it a buy it. Next up, Chip Zdarsky makes his distillery debut with Time Waits #1. Joe Patrick, did you know Chip Zdarsky is not his real name?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I don't know what his real name is, but yes, I did.
Steve Murray. I was shocked to find out.
Yeah, I at some point I knew
name.
that, but I forgot the name. But I did know that Chip Zdarsky was not his.
Blew me away. I had
name.
no idea. This is written by Chip Zdarsky and David Brothers. Cover and art by Marcus Toe and Marvin Cianipar. Colors by Matt Wilson. Letters by Ariana Maher. This is 48 pages for $8.99. Here is your solicit. Join Chip Zdarsky, David Brothers, and Marcus Toe for a sci-fi adventure that defies expectation and time itself. You know, Marv, you notice Marv does not get a shout there for some reason.
Sorry, Marv.
Meet Blue, a man trapped in the past, which is our present. Blah. Sent back in time for a mission he could not bring himself to complete. The former soldier, Blue, finds a life with Grace, the sheriff of a small rural town. The pair build a foundation of happiness on a history of bloodshed as far away from the trigger-happy corporate overlords that used Blue as a human gun. After 10 years together, Blue and Grace are on the cusp of taking the next step in their relationship, adoption. Before Grace can fully convince Blue to expand their family, the future comes a-callin'. The overlords want their first deserter, and to complete the mission, Blue could not. They have one simple rule: kill anyone who stands in their way. The first of 4 miniseries by Chip Zdarsky from DSTLRY.
Oh, dear.
It does say new series debut, but then we find out it's the first of 4 miniseries, but whatever. Every issue from DSTLRY...
I mean, really, everything from DSTLRY is a mini until proven otherwise.
I guess. Pardon me. Every issue from DSTLRY is presented in our perfect bound prestige format, featuring wraparound covers with spot gloss on robust cover stock, complemented by 48 pages of exquisite interior stock. It's the DSTLRY difference. Bam!
I mean, they're not wrong.
They
DSTLRY
are not
books
wrong.
in print are probably some of the most beautiful looking comics on the stands.
They are the best looking comics on the stands. There's no question about it. And it's one of those things where like you're paying $8.99 for a piece of something. It's like buying a vinyl record as opposed to buying a CD, right?
For sure.
I'm not sure what Marvin does for the art in this book, but the team of Marv and Marcus look great. Even when they're just... Maybe
he's the inker.
Could be.
I don't know.
Even when they're just drawing kitchens and talking heads, this book looks great. The action scenes, when they do kick in, really well colored, beautiful stuff. It's just a very solid book. And Marcus Toe, he's been drawing a lot of X stuff. I would argue this isn't as flashy as the X stuff that he did, but comparably.
Well, I mean, it's fantastic. A lot of normal people talking for the most part.
Sure, but I mean, like even
until it isn't.
Even the action is a little more normal people shooting guns, normal people punching each other, right? But it's still, it looks excellent. No complaints whatsoever.
The time travelers from the future don't look like Terminators. They look like people.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things they're going for here is a little more grounded Terminator type story.
It's more like a Time Cop future than a Terminator future.
No, it's not. If you've not seen Time Cop.
I've seen Time Cop. Okay. Come on.
Well, it's not at all. So don't say that. This is really more grounded. It's a time travel story, but it's set in a rural town. Zdarsky and brothers do an incredible job setting up this relationship, giving us flashbacks of how the relationship started, and using like these headaches that Blue has as a way to introduce the flashback. The flashbacks themselves are kind of disjointed because they don't necessarily make sense as we learn.
Yeah, because it's like some sort of time travel sickness.
He's removed from time as well, and we slowly learn, oh, this is all setting up to how we got to right now and what's happening right now. It's very clever. So here's my review. Time Waits is a nice departure from Zdarsky's recent DC and Marvel input that recaptures some of the charm and humor of his previous work on books like Sex Criminals without all the P's and V's. That said, this may not be superhero comics, but it's action sci-fi with excellent art in a perfectly packaged and designed magazine-style book that we've come to expect from DSTLRY. This is another great start for a miniseries that seems just grounded enough to lend itself perfectly to a series on any streaming platform that I would watch the hell out of. And I plan to read more of Time Waits. I still can't believe this dude's real name is Steve Murray, and I had no idea. I had no clue.
Surprise.
Yeah, I'm giving it a buy it.
This was a buy it for me as well. I loved that the wife was as much a main character as the time traveler. She was just a normal person doing normal ass things, being like the local sheriff or whatever, or the local deputy, and, helping the kid out. And I just really loved that it was all about the life that they're building, how he like takes baking lessons to help cope with his PTSD. Like all the little touches.
They also kind of, did you
all
notice?
All of a sudden you're like, oh shit, that's right. He's a time traveler.
And did you notice like all the characters like in this area, even like Baker guy and like even the woman at like the fast food market had all these like big government kind of big brother things that they were talking about. Like everybody's kind of like suspicious.
I mean,
of
small town, right?
I guess, but I wonder how much they know about certain things.
I don't think so. I think that's just
know.
small town life. Like I could tell you stories about Tabor.
No,
too,
I get it, but they also might be curious about some things that have gone on there because the place the sheriff pulled him out of is this big government food.
Oh, that's
thing,
true. Yeah. That's
so
true.
they don't trust this stuff for a reason. I don't think Zdarsky
No, that's fair.
puts that on the page unless there's something there.
Yeah, I mean, and we will see. Yeah, like maybe that is like the Cyberdyne of the story,
I
right?
have a
Like
feeling.
maybe that becomes the thing that they work for that he's running from.
I have a feeling. Yeah.
This is a buy it for me. It's really well done. And it's kind of deceptive like if you haven't read the solicit and I hadn't, and you know that there's something about it, you know that it's an action book, you know that there's going to be guns and stuff and some sort of sci-fi angle, but the book kind of lulls you into like woos you with this story about the husband and wife and the lives they're building, and then all of a sudden you're reminded, oh wait, and it's great. Yeah, buy it. Get your jacket out, Matt. It's time for Avengers Assemble #1 from Marvel Comics. It's written by Steve Orlando with pencils by Corey Smith. Inks are by Oren Jr. with Elzabeta D'Amico.
Sure.
Colors are by Sonia Obach. Letters are by VC's Corey Pettit. He's got a jacket of his own. It's a gang jacket. Don't touch it. It's 32 pages for $4.99, and here's your solicit. Return to Avengers Mansion! When vampires attacked, a ragtag group of volunteer Avengers changed the tide of battle. And in the aftermath, Captain America has formed the Avengers Emergency Response Squad. Steve's handpicked team of veterans and newcomers live and train in Avengers Mansion. And when Captain America sounds the mission horn, whoever's on base has seconds to pack up and deploy. When the Red Skull's daughter discovers a dangerous artifact, Cap, Wasp, Photon, and Shang-Chi set out to stop her, while Hawkeye hosts a poker game for the late arrivals. Will the Avengers, spelled like wild cats,
all right,
pass their real test?
Why are they doing that? What is that?
That only works if the first half of that word spells something, but there's no such thing as Aven.
No, it isn't. What are they doing?
I know. I get what they're doing, but it's dumb. It's silly, not dumb. And did someone say jackets? Spinning on a Jed McKay's Avengers Comics powerhouse is Steve Orlando from Scarlet Witch and Spider-Man 2099, and Corey Smith from Wolverine and Ghost Rider join forces to expand the world of the Avengers. So the solicit has basically given you a laundry list of all the reasons why I love this comic already.
Pretty much.
Orlando's character work is top notch. The man clearly has a lot of love for deeply obscure Avengers continuity and B and C list characters. Like he knows Hawkeye and Living Lightning know each other from when they both served on the West Coast Avengers. And so they're buddies. Hercules is there. He casually drops into conversation. Oh yeah. Don't you guys know that I have something called the Allspeak, which gives me, just like inborn knowledge of all language, including body language, which means there's no chance of you beating me at poker.
Which I'll buy
it. Just like drops it like it's no big deal.
He's a guy. He's Zeus's kid. He's a he's
just guy. Like, oh yeah, they all speak. Right.
Sure.
It feels so good to have a team back in Avengers Mansion. This issue feels more true to the spirit of the Avengers than any story in years.
Agreed. I agree. Definitely.
I loved Julie Power, fangirling all over the place. You got to get some new blood in there, of course. I loved the poker game. Night Thrasher comes in with the jackets, which actually seem like they'll have a purpose beyond just fashion. They've got some sort of technology in them. Corey Smith's art, pretty decent. It's not like the flashiest, but it's good. It does fall apart a little bit here and there if you look too closely. Background elements lose a lot of detail in panels that have a lot of depth. So if there's something like deep in the background, it just barely drawn. And no pirate boots on Steve. What the fuck, Corey? What are we even doing here? Linnell Yu draws him on the cover. What's your problem?
Yeah, I know. Come on, man.
There are little things here and there that could be better, but I loved everything else about Avengers Assemble #1. Orlando and Smith capture that classic Avengers feeling that I've been missing for so long. My biggest complaint is that it's only a 5-issue miniseries. I'm giving this a buy it. I loved it.
I don't love the art here. I don't.
I mean, it's just okay.
I don't like it. Corey Smith, there's some weirdness. There's some weird posing. There's weird faces. And it's just, I don't love it. And it doesn't look flat. This sounds weird, but like, and I'm not trying to denigrate other books or denigrate like Marvel Unlimited, but this looks like a Marvel Unlimited comic book to me. Right?
Oh, you mean like an Infinity comic?
Infinity comic, pardon me. Like maybe they're giving someone a chance that is coming up, and he's better than this.
Well, he's done work.
I've seen him do better.
He's an established artist.
That's what I'm saying. I've seen him do better than this. And I don't think this is some of his best stuff. It's just not great. The story is fun. Steve Orlando, I'm thrilled to be able to say that Steve Orlando is a great writer again, because for a while there, he started off great, and I was super excited for him. Then he kind of petered out, and I was like, oh, I guess that was it.
I mean, he wrote some stuff I didn't really care about.
It was
like, I don't
terrible.
really dig on the Spider-Man 2099 books, but
it was never terrible, but it also wasn't worth reading. It was fine at best. He's clicking. I also love seeing an Avengers team in Avengers Mansion. This feels like Avengers. It's only a mini series, and the art's not great. I'm giving it a skim it at best. It's a strong skim it, maybe, but
that's a shame.
I don't have a lot of reasons.
I think it's a little
bit
bit better than you do, but I mean, you're entitled to your opinion.
I think it's 5 issues and it's over, and then we don't ever have to talk about it again. And the art's not great.
I want this to be an ongoing concept, though. Even if there's no book necessarily to sell it, like I want this to be an ongoing version of the Avengers that works alongside like the guys that punch Galactus.
I don't disagree. We should have a team of Avengers that's in Avengers Mansion doing the Avengers stuff. Not just always like, there's a new threat that's so crazy out of the multiverse that it's like, got 5 Captain America heads and 5 shields. Like, okay.
Right. No, I agree with you. Yeah.
And now we move to new comics. From the week of Wednesday, September 18th.
Because I demanded it, Dazzler is back in her own ongoing series at Marvel. It's got to be the most awaited post-Krakoan book out there. This is Dazzler #1 from Marvel, 32 pages, $4.99. It's written by Jason Liu, cover by Terry Dodson, and it's a good cover. It's a very good Terry Dodson cover.
Great cover by Terry Dodson.
So it's not always something weird going on.
But also no backgrounds.
No background. No. But, she's doing her thing.
Like by design.
Lasers and whatnot. Art by Rafael Loureiro, colors by Javier Tartaglia, and letters by Ariana Maher. Here is your solicit. And all I can do is picture that meme with the dog, like so bright. This star. Right?
Oh, yeah, like the Doge.
Yeah, the Doge. So bright, this star, Dazzler, Marvel's glittering mutant songstress, has been in and out of limelight over the years, but now the time has finally come for her to take center stage. Dazzler embarks on a new world tour, the culmination and celebration of her entire musical career. And along for the ride is her new road crew, Domino, Strong Guy, and Multiple Man. Not Jamie Madrox, Multiple Man. But while Dazzler may be
they list the other guys by their code names too.
I know. There's a reason why I bring it up like that. But while Dazzler may be able to focus on her music, her celebrity mutant status and a violent attack may sideline the entire endeavor before it's even begun. Each issue features original song lyrics from Ellie's notebook. Don't miss the concert and comic event of the year. Okay.
I mean, look, I don't know what you're groaning about. It's Dazzler.
I understand. And I get it. Taylor Swift, she's the biggest
She's
star
wearing a
in the
fucking
world.
disco outfit on the cover.
So it's up to Dazzler to be Marvel's Taylor Swift. That's what we're doing here. Fine. Whatever. I don't have a problem with it. It makes sense. It doesn't work for some of these characters, though. We have built Jamie Madrox to be a certain kind of guy. The Multiple Man, right? A detective, a tortured person who's dealing with the fact that he's multiple people. And here is a stagehand, doing a stagehand job, like hanging out, doing the stuff. And sometimes it's in the crowd looking for people with guns.
You know what? Point of order. Isn't he also in the X Factor book?
Yes.
Maybe these are just dupes.
Maybe they are. But say that. Put it on the page and I'm fine with it. You know what I mean?
Whatever. Who cares?
Part of me was
Madrox
like,
can do whatever he wants.
And I agree. And so can Domino. But the last time we saw Domino, she was in charge of the X-Men's murder squad. And now
that's true.
She is
that's true.
The bodyguard for Dazzler.
She was wearing a tree gun.
Right.
A tree gun suit and half of her body was messed up.
Suddenly she's got a haircut and she's teaching Dazzler how to,
feeling much less homicidal.
How to ground and pound UFC style, I guess. Like,
I mean, look, Strong Guy was in hell for a while. Everybody has a past.
Like a character like Strong Guy being here doing this makes perfect sense. This is a great use of Strong Guy. Fine with
because he was introduced as the bodyguard of a rock star already. Like he already has a pass as a rock star roadie.
Perfect sense, and that's fine. Yeah. I will say, singing in comics never works. It never
the
works.
Singing stuff kind of lost me a little bit.
It never works, and there's way too much of it, and I don't care about the original lyrics, and I get it. This book is not geared to Matt Baum.
It's not everything's for you.
This book is geared probably to little girls that love Taylor Swift. Little girls and boys that love Taylor Swift. Fine. That's totally fine. And I will say, Maher does a really nice job in the lettering with the singing. It's kind of wavy. So it looks
different.
She's singing it. I just, there's something about this character, Dazzler, coming out of what happened in Krakoa and just turning into Taylor Swift, who has like the best message. And she's so happy to be a mutant. She's out and she's proud. Hooray! Like shouldn't she maybe be a little edgier? And I'm not talking like death metal. I mean like, maybe just a little more controversial. Like the dance
I don't know. Like they already
like,
did kind of a phase where Dazzler went dark for a while.
I don't mean even necessarily dark. I'm just like maybe a little more gaga than Swift. You know what I mean?
Like they do, sure.
That's
and
what
they
I'm
do.
saying.
Like she does say out loud, specifically in the book, that the day she became an X-Man last time, she died.
Right.
She was violently murdered the day she was asked to be on the team.
Yeah. And like, look, the art here is good. It's very much geared towards a younger audience. I think it gives it a bright pop star feel. The costume changes are fun. She's wearing the disco outfit and she like breaks for a song just like Taylor Swift does, comes out in a different outfit, her Chris Claremont, 80s outfit. And it's great. There was just some stuff that like doesn't hit for me and some kind of character weirdness, but you're right. Not everything is for me. So here's my review. I'm sure there's plenty of trolls out there trashing this book for all kinds of dumb troll reasons, but I do think the Dazzler one did some things well and some things could have been better. I like the status quo, even if it does seem a little sudden post Krakoa, but same goes for most of all the X books we've talked about. And Lou's homage to Taylor Swift probably couldn't have come at a better time with her throwing her support behind Kamala and getting an even larger amount of troll attacks than usual. But there's some characterization here that didn't work for me, namely Domino and Madrox. Even Dazzler may have been better served as slightly edgier of a pop star after what went down in Krakoa. And I get it. She's a pop star, but the dance battle on stage was a little much for me. This book isn't for aging X fans. I get that too. It does a nice job presenting itself for younger fans, something that we complain comics don't do enough of on a regular basis. So I applaud this creative team for good timing and a good enough Dazzler story. I'm just saying, maybe make Daz a little more gaga and subversive.
I mean, it's okay to give something a skim it if it's not for you.
Yeah, and I'm giving it a skim it. I'm just saying, had they sold this where she's a little more subversive, a little closer to Lady Gaga than Taylor Swift, I would have bought it.
If she had come out in a meat dress, we'd be having a different conversation.
I would have bought it a little more. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And who the fuck is Shark Girl? Just totally.
Oh, Shark Girl's been around for a long time.
Oh, I've never seen Shark Girl before.
Yeah. Oh, yes, you have. Shark Girl was in. I think she was in Wolverine and the X-Men for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's been around.
Okay.
Shark Girl's been around a long time.
And like, I did like the thing with Shark Girl, like the corporate girls, like, yeah, you're a mutant. That's great. What if we put an image reducer on you just to make you look a little more human? Like that's very
like,
corporate.
While we're testing the waters.
Yeah.
I get that.
Let's
maybe, put some lipstick on this shark. So I liked this a lot, but my rating is the same. It's a skim it because here's the thing about a skim it versus a buy it. A buy it kind of transcends the things that you might criticize about it or might not necessarily resonate with. There's a lot about this book that doesn't resonate with me as well. I'm not like nothing against her, but I'm not really a Taylor Swift fan. I don't really.
Well, there goes our entire Swiftie audience. Thank you, Joe.
I think that she's an excellent example of using celebrity for good.
But when she came out,
I think she's a great person. I'm just not necessarily like a fan of her music.
When she got political and went for Kamala instead of Trump, you couldn't. That was bridge too far for Joe Patrick. You were like,
no, that's my
guy. You're talking about
what I just said, you asshole. Like Taylor Swift, I think posing Dazzler as somebody who uses her platform to give a positive message, I think that's a smart take on the character for Marvel. Is it sudden? Maybe. Did she go through a lot too much to be this bubbly? Again, maybe. But I mean,
there was just too much sugary sweet.
Everything's relative. What if you're a person that's picking this up with no knowledge of Coca-Cola? Like, none of that's going to seem weird.
Fine. That's fine. I would still argue it's a little too easy to go full Taylor Swift. And I would have just, had you dialed the sugary sweet down just a little bit, this may have been a buy it for me.
Sure. For my personal tastes, or for Matt's personal tastes, maybe that would have been more appetizing. I think the art is fantastic. I think that the contrived, like, we have to hide the fact that we're fighting on stage while she's literally shooting acid ray blasts into the audience was stupid. I'm sorry. It was silly.
And that's part of what I'm talking about with the completely sugary. It comes off like a musical almost, like Xanadu level threat. You know, like,
again, like, I'm trying, like, there's a line where things become a little too goofy, and I thought that part was a little too goofy. Yes. Like, nobody's gonna not know you're fighting a supervillain on stage. Right. This is a skimmit for me. It is a strong skimmit. I think it does a lot of good, fun things. I think Jason Liu is a good writer. The art is excellent. And I love the use of the C-list and below characters. Like, the media lady was a character from New X-Men from the early 2000s.
Wind Dancer.
Yeah. And I was like, I loved that Jason Liu used those characters that aren't really doing much right now. And I'm a sucker for strong guy. And so, yeah.
I am too.
It's a good book that's not really aimed at me. And so it's a strong skimmit.
Domino has never smiled this much in any comic book I've seen her in. It's just too much.
I mean, everybody in the book is kind of happy.
Hey, man, these are hard times, friend.
Let's get the politics put aside for now. It's time for The Moon is Following Us, #1 from Image Comics. It's written by Daniel Warren Johnson with art by Johnson and Riley Rossmo. Colors are by Mike Spicer. Letters are by Sean Lee. It's 32 pages for $3.99. Here is your solicit series premiere. Again, lowercase.
We're done yelling about it.
No exclamation point.
They've grown up.
Thank you, Image.
Yeah.
Sam and Duncan Lamar love their 6-year-old daughter, Penny, more than anything in the whole world. But half a year ago, she was taken by the Cascade, an evil force that they barely understand. Now Sam and Duncan must fight side by side with the magical beings Penny cherished to try and get her back before she's gone forever. Duncan is such a great name for an adventure character.
Duncan's just a great name.
There are so many great heroic Duncans.
Yeah. Man at Arms.
The Moon.
To name one.
There you go. The Moon is Following Us seems like a straightforward story about a husband and wife, a team of adventurers trying to save their daughter. But then you remember that it is a DWJ joint, and there is way more to it than meets the eye.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked how Sam and Duncan weren't equally prepared to give themselves over to violence. In real life, like, it would be a lot harder to just start, like, beheading people. That all rang true to me. Like, Duncan is very hesitant, even though their daughter's life is on the line. The story is full of really inventive ideas, like the back alley weapons merchant that trades in memories, and he opens up his wings like it's a trench coat, and all the guns and shit are hanging.
I'm looking at it right now. It's so
awesome,
fucking neat. It's just cool.
That moment where you find out what the title means.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God Almighty. The art is incredible, of course. Rossmo's designs Of everything from the creatures to the depictions of the magic and the gear in use, they're all a delight. Mike Spicer's colors are perfect. There's a gut-punching twist at the end that casts the whole story in a different light, because of course there is. Rossmo and Johnson complement each other so well that I actually didn't notice the art change until my second reading.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Very well done.
I'm looking at it right now, trying to figure
out
where exactly it happened, and it's
Yeah.
tough. It's even upon a second look, it's tough to see. I see it now, but it's tough to see that, and it still makes sense. I'm not going to give anything away. It makes
No,
sense.
there's a reason why.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it happens,
and it's great.
Once you like, and now I'll be ready for it in the next issue. But
Right.
in the moment, that first time, it flowed over me. Here's my synopsis, my review summary. The Moon is following us, #1. Looks like another winner from the mind of Daniel Warren Johnson, and he has found the perfect collaborator in Riley Rossmo. The creators deliver a deeply personal story wrapped in profoundly weird sci-fi fantasy ideas, and I am definitely on board for the full series. This gets a huge buy it.
Yeah, it's great. And it's a huge buy it from me as well. And it's the kind of thing where, like you said, it appears to be one thing where it's just like, wow, this fantasy sure is far out, bro. And guess what? It's a completely different thing. And they're so good. I think both these guys are so good at these type of stories. I don't ever need to see Riley Rossmo draw on superheroes again. I don't need it. And
No.
This is
Scroll up some.
This is I'm thrilled that Riley Rossmo is back doing
Right there is where the art changes.
Yeah. Doing Riley Rossmo things, and man, you forget how good this guy is. And Daniel Warren Johnson, Jesus Christ. If you don't like him, we don't have much to talk about. It's a huge buy.
Yeah.
This is
really
a fantastic book. My reviews finish up with Tin Can Society, #1 from Image. It's 32 pages for $4.99. This is written by Peter Warren, cover and art by Francesco Mobili, colors by Chris Chukri. Apparently no one lettered this one because there's no lettering credit. I don't know. I can confirm there are letters in this book. It's a mystery. Here's your solicit mini-series premiere in all caps this time. So we're all over the place, Image. The first stunning issue of a brand new miniseries from Giant Generator, showcasing the first comics work by screenwriter and incredible talent, Peter Warren, who's working on the Inkle feature film, and he worked on a movie called Kill Me, I guess. With jaw-dropping art by Francesco Mobili, who worked on X-Men and Scumbag, and beautiful colors by Chris Chukri, who's worked on New X-Men and Gen 13.
I didn't realize this was a Giant Generator comic.
Yeah, I guess it is. There you go. Yeah. Johnny Moore is a world-famous tech mogul, known as much for his work pioneering mobility aids for people with disabilities, like himself, as he is for moonlighting as the metal-suited vigilante Caliburn. Terrible name. But when Johnny is found murdered and his suit stolen, his estranged childhood best friends reunite to solve the mystery of this murder. Tin Can Society is a heartfelt and human look at the evolution of friendships across a lifetime, at disability and ableism, and the destructive power of fame. I don't disagree with any of that, and I get nervous whenever I see a solicit make claims like that. Like, we're doing a really good job with the disabled. Like, let's let everybody judge that first. I'm not saying I'm disabled and I can, I should be the one to judge it, but they do. They do a very nice job setting up a kid who is a disabled kid going to school. Absolutely terrifying. I can speak just as a short kid. I was bullied to no end. I can't imagine what it's like to walk into a new school with, the arm crutches, right? Really good representation, though. I love that he went to a few schools before he found these kids that accepted him. They become lifelong friends, but it's not so cheeseball that later on in life we're still the closest whatever. Like, we're examining how these relationships
it's real life.
change.
People grow apart.
Yeah. And we're
Some
examining
people stay close, some people grow apart.
what happens when money and fame comes into relationships. There's resentment, there's judgment, there's people that just back off, there's other people that try to glom on. There's some really good art moments here. There's a scene, and it's no spoiler. The main character has spina bifida, and there's a scene in the beginning where they're talking about the main character remembers meeting this character that's been murdered. And there's this amazing page where she's talking about spina bifida and how it affected him. And they show him in the womb with this bump on his back. And she's explaining spina bifida and how it made the character in her mind seem so vulnerable. But it's also the thing that pushed the character to sort of become, what if Iron Man made his iron out of trying to help the world with disabilities because he was disabled, right? It's a fantastic story. And I really like the flashback art. It's just a little different. It's excellent. Mobili does the whole thing, but it's just a little different in the texture of the color, and the panels are a little fuzzy, unlike the modern day where it's very, stern colors and dark because they're investigating a murder, and the panels are very solid. It's just a subtle touch, but it works really well. So you kind of get this like Stranger Things vibe, Goonies vibe with the kids, but there's also a really good murder mystery happening here. So here's my review. I will say I'm not crazy about the suit design, but whatever. I think maybe they're trying to make it a little more real world than superhero, sort of like engineered real world, perhaps.
He's not like an Iron Man. He's just a guy.
So here's my review. Tin Can Society is a murder mystery at its core, but it uses flashbacks to examine how close friendships can fall apart with time, money, and fame. The creative team does an excellent job following a classic murder mystery formula, but introduces the characters as old friends before shifting the plot on the last page. Excellent art, very solid representation here. It makes the story feel grounded and emotional while pushing a really well thought out mystery. Add issue 2 to my pull file. This is a buy it. I really enjoyed this.
I loved this. I really, really enjoyed it. And I, as a person that, I identify as somebody with a disability. I've also been kind of othered my entire life because of my weight. And so I didn't look like the other kids. Same with Matt's height. Certainly nothing as dramatic as
spina bifida.
walking in with enormous awkward metal braces. Yeah. Or being black, or anything like that. It's there's a lot here that resonated with me. And I think that Peter Warren dealt with those topics with a great deal of care and sincerity. And I really appreciated that. I loved the friendship story. I loved the origin of what the Tin Can Society is and what it means. Like you said, it's not just like they stayed friends forever. They're all besties. Woohoo. Because that's not real life. And
that's also not where this story's going, I don't think.
Right. Well,
no spoilers.
The story wants you to think one thing, but I don't think that's true. I think that's a red herring.
Oh, I think you're 100% wrong. I think they dropped all the clues. So.
We'll see. The art is incredible. I think this is a gorgeous book. Peter Warren, man, chalk that guy up. Give me more comics from him. I hope he's the new Christopher Cantwell.
Yeah, he's good.
It's really fantastic. This is a huge buy it for me. I texted Matt after I read it, and I was like, the Tin Can Society is incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah, you should check it out. It's really, really something great.
Picked a doozy for the final book, Joe Patrick.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Our last book of the week. Let's end on a down note. Spirits of Vengeance #1
well,
from
don't
Marvel.
Give it away right up front. I mean, come on.
Well, you know what? Look, process of elimination. I already kind of hinted at it earlier when I mentioned writer Sabir Pirzada. who is writing that Muslim Hellblazer comic we talked about from the Horizon Project or Horizon Experiment. They also write this. Pencils are by Sean Damian Hill. Inks are by Craig Young and Jay Leaston. Colors are by Andrew Dalhouse. Andrew, I'm disappointed in you. Letters are by VC's Travis Lanham. Covers are by Kendrick Kunka Lim.
So before we start, just dismembering this thing, I will say cover, very good.
Very good.
Very good cover.
It's 32 pages for $4.99, but don't judge a book by its cover.
No, do not.
Here's your solicit. Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch, Robbie Reyes, The Hood, Kushala. Many have borne the title Spirit of Vengeance. And as its most recent claimant has embarked on its final ride to explosive results. What?
I don't know.
Never mind. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Others still stir in the darker corners of the Marvel Universe. And one, in particular, has a stronger connection to two Ghost Riders than the rest. And after years, it's ready to show its fangs again at last. Its most recent claimant has embarked on its final ride to explosive... they must be talking about the Hood and that shit with the Hood.
I guess.
Doesn't matter.
Because the Hood became Ghost Rider.
None of that makes any difference because he's feeling much better.
Apparently.
Hey, well, I hope you guys remember the long and storied history of Vengeance. That Ghost Rider character from the 90s with the giant tusks.
He was the purple one, right? Purple head?
He was purple, yeah. Purple,
that's right. I remember he had a purple head.
Aside from a brief detour featuring Johnny Blaze fighting sirens or maybe harpies or maybe they're both, the whole issue focuses on the dormant Vengeance, who has been separated from his host and had his bones propped up in a cornfield. I mean, God forbid the guy puts it in a closet somewhere, but no, he's propped up in a cornfield. It's not a bad setup, but I felt like I was kind of being penalized for not knowing anything about Vengeance. Like, why didn't we get a recap of his origin? Literally, all I know about Vengeance is that he's the purple one.
I don't know if they recapped his origin. You'd feel a lot better here, honestly.
Well, at least I wouldn't feel so lost.
Okay. Fair.
I find it pretty hilarious that an accidental boner is what led to Vengeance waking up. Hey, the art, including the inking and the coloring, is really rough.
It's bad.
For most of the issue.
It is bad. It's not rough, Joe. It's bad.
Look, man, I'm trying to be...
This is bad
I'm not
art.
trying to be mean about it.
I'm not being mean. I'm just saying I'm looking at panels right now that are bad. Ghost Rider.
All right, like, let me get into it.
Sticking out at weird angles and like...
Let me get into it.
You can't draw skulls. Don't get into a book where you have to draw
Ghost
skulls.
Rider,
You know?
Hill does show some promise here and there, but those moments are few and far between.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the issue is full of very awkward faces and anatomy and half-finished panels.
Oof.
The inking is so inconsistent to the point of being distracting. Line weights are all over the place for no good reason. Like, you'll be looking at something and all of a sudden there's a line that becomes triple the thickness of everything else that in that particular thing. Why? Why is it inked this way? The coloring is so bright.
Yeah.
Which you could chalk up to the entire issue taking place in a cornfield, but it's also really washed out. Like, there's an almost transparent white overlay over everything.
Right. It, like when you get on Instagram and you do the saturation
it's got like
thing,
a filter on
and
it.
you pull the saturation to the max and you're just like,
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I don't understand.
So, all right. Fair warning, I'm changing my rating, but here's my review.
I was going to barbecue you for this rating. So you're lucky.
Well, the more I talked about it out loud, Spirits of Vengeance #1 suffers from an over-reliance on obscure continuity that's barely explained and amateurish, sloppy art that detracts from the overall experience. The story did read better the second time around. Like, I read it again when I was writing the review, and I was like, okay, the story's mostly fine.
It's fine. It's silly at worst.
Yes. But the new era of Ghost Rider is off to a rocky start.
Yeah.
I'm giving this a leave it. Like, I'm sorry, but the art tanks it.
I love
if the art had been better, it would be a skim it.
I love Ghost Rider, even with flashy art, which books like this demand. They literally, if nothing else, give me some Clayton Crane art or something that just looks so cool, you know, and I'll forgive a lot of stuff. Hard for me to forgive a story. Like, I don't care about the hood shit. I don't care about, you know.
I mean, the hood shit's not mentioned.
It's just not mentioned there, but it's present. And Vengeance, you're right. Who cares? But if you're going to bring Vengeance up, give us something.
You need to explain who Vengeance is.
Give us something so we go, oh, okay, maybe I might be interested in seeing who that character was. Or for people who do know who that character was, you go, oh, we were doing that with him now. That's kind of interesting. This is a leave it. This is bad. And this direction for Ghost Rider is bad. Right now, they have no direction for Ghost Rider. And this feels directionless.
But that's another thing is that Ghost Rider is barely in it. And so.
Right. So what are we doing?
I can't say that the direction is bad because I don't know what it is.
This feels like they don't have a plan. And I'm hoping this suffers from being rushed. Because if not, it's just a very poorly executed comic book. It's a leave it.
I'm legitimately surprised that Marvel looked at this and went, yeah, looks good. Let's put it out.
I agree. This looks worse than a lot of the Marvel stuff that I just don't care about. I can say I don't care about that. It's a leave it. It's not very well written. It's a leave it. But I rarely say this looks like trash.
I mean, sorry, them's the breaks.
I mean, you got to tell it like it is sometimes. Otherwise, everyone's gonna be like, those guys, I mean, they're a little too nice about this and that.
We ain't here to make friends.
Whatever.
There are links for more details on these comics in the show notes at twoheadednerd.com, and we post our reviews there as well. So you can make an informed buying choice just by visiting the site. Instead of fast forwarding through the show, we know you all do it. Like a weirdo, standing in front of the new comic shelf. Get a life.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Matt, before we move on, we need to let Macho know which one of these comics was the best we read and should be archived in the THN permanent collection alongside the highly collectible Wolverine #1, which already gets in.
Yeah, I mean, it's automatically in. I mean, now that we know that the blob is
this week we picked 2.
Yeah, definitely. Man, it's tough this week because there was a lot.
It's a toss-up between the two. You pick one and I'll pick the one.
There was a lot of really good stuff, though. And I mean, I don't know if it's... I mean, I think I'm going to go with The Moon is Following Us just...
Oh, shit.
Because the level of the story and the art came together so well. And it's so good to see Riley Rossmo back, not drawing eggplant-headed people. You know, like, thank you, Riley Rossmo. I knew you were talented. I'm going to go with The Moon is Following Us from Image.
I agree. I'm also giving it to The Moon is Following Us. It was just something... It was really special. I really enjoyed it. But don't sleep on Tin Can Society.
No, it's great. It's great. I just, man, I'll tell you what. When you do an art switch that good for the sake of the story, that's a meta shit, man. And it's not just like, oh, we had to bring in this artist to finish. Like, no, there's a reason this happens. It gets me every time. Love it.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Macho, please file this one in our Image collection.
It will be bagged and boarded with the greatest of care as usual, Sir Matt.
It's time for us to head up to THN Sanctum Sanctorum to make our must-read picks for next Wednesday, September 25th. Joe Patrick, I know you've been losing your mind waiting for Florida Man versus Hogzilla #3 after the cliffhanger last page of issue 2. But is it your must-read pick? The public needs to know.
I'm afraid not. I'm afraid that next week my pick is Revolution 9, #1 from Mad Cave. It's written by Mark London with art by Carlos Reno. It's 28 pages for $4.99, and here's your solicit. After years as an assassin for the Order of Nine, an ancient order dating back almost 3,000 years, Velveteen has turned her back on the very organization that saved her. Tasked with the murder of otherwise innocent hacker Jasper Dean. He's a hacker. He's not that innocent.
Great name, though. Great name.
She sets off to save his life and discover the terrible secret that marked him for death. With the entire order after them, Velveteen and Jasper must escape their grasp and prevent them from toppling society as we know it. Revolution 9 is the first thrilling title in Underworld, an all-new universe created by Mark London from Hunt, Kill, Repeat, and Battle Cats and Knights of the Golden Sun. Each miniseries set within can be savored as a standalone serial while serving as a stepping stone towards Endless Night, the must-read crossover guaranteed to blow your mind in 2025. That is a tall order for a group of creators that I've never heard of
as
before.
As far as the solicit is concerned, like it's doing everything in its power.
Look, the solicit has done the job. It's like, look, this is going to be the most important comic book you read next week.
Okay, new thing
I want to do. It's better than putting highly collectible #1 on it like Wolverine did.
New thing I want to do. And we're starting right now. And I'm not going to edit this part out. So everybody knows we're starting. We're doing it. Our picks. We're going to pretend I'm walking into a comic shop. I'm just some dude. Joe Patrick, you're the nerd of the comic shop. Sell me this comic book. Why am I buying it?
Well, now hold on.
Sell
That's
it
not
to
fair
me.
because I haven't read the
Sell
comic.
it to me. Why am I buying it? Do your job. Sell it to me. Go. You pick this as your must-read pick. Sell it to me.
You're right. I picked it as my must-read pick because next week is a relatively light week.
This is how I'm going to buy. I was like, oh, well, shit, take my money. You are fired.
That's not what our picks of the week are for. You sprung this on me, and it's not what this part of the show is
I'm going to
about.
sell mine to you. I'm going to sell mine to you next.
You don't have to sell yours to me. I gave you the good one.
That's the new exercise. We're selling it to each other.
Whatever.
My pick for next week, Batman.
Well, hold on. Look, give me a chance to make it happen.
Okay, I thought you were giving up. Sell it to me. Let's go.
I'm not giving up. I'm just saying it was unfair of you to spring it on me.
Standing here, I'm holding $4.99 in my hand with pennies and all.
I love a good secret society assassin story. I love the assassin making a face turn and trying to save somebody. Mad Cave's putting out a lot of great stuff.
I'll give you
the art looks fantastic.
Mad Cave coming up. I'll give you that.
If you're looking to try something new next week and you've got 499 pennies in your pocket, why not try Revolution 9 #1?
All right. You know what? Cha-ching. I'll buy it. That was good. You sold me. All right.
And according to Mad Cave, it's going to be the most important comic book you read in your entire life.
I mean, that right there. So, Mad Cave's never lied to us before, so
no,
I'll give him that. My pick for next week is Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, #1 from DC Comics. Brave to use a dash and not the hyphen. I like it. All right.
Well, I mean, it's whatever you want to call it. It's Batman : The Long Halloween.
But there's a dash they put in there officially.
#1.
So it's not a colon, it's a dash.
No, there's a colon after Batman. Batman : The Long Halloween
dash The Last Halloween. Okay, gotcha. From DC
You can't
Comics,
have two colons is the point.
It's written by Jeff Loeb, art by Tim Sale and Eduardo Rizzo. It's 32 pages for $4.99. Here's your solicit. In 1996, writer Jeff Loeb and artist Tim Sale teamed for Batman: The Long Halloween, an award-winning 13-chapter saga that spawned multiple sequels and stands as the most influential Batman story of its era. I 100% agree with that statement.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue against it.
Yeah. Now Loeb returns to the world of The Long Halloween for its long-anticipated final act, Batman: The Last Halloween. That's all you had to call it, guys. Just call it Batman: The Last Halloween.
I mean, look.
That's all you had to do.
But you know what? It's on the cover. It's official. So when it's filed at comic book stores, it's right there on the cover.
Okay. I'll give you that argument. For the back issue monkeys, I'll give you that. Okay. An all-new 10-part mystery continuing the story from 2021's The Long Halloween special. In each issue, Loeb will be joined by one of the top artists in comics in a beautiful and lovingly crafted tribute to Sale's art and legacy. In issue 1, Gotham City learns to fear Halloween once more as a terrible event threatens to destroy Jim Gordon's life and puts Batman and Robin's teamwork to the test more than ever before. In a city of liars, masked vigilantes, and criminals, can anyone be trusted? All right.
Man, can't wait. I'm excited.
You're standing there, got your money in your hand. Matt, why should I buy this? Say those words.
Okay. Hey, Matt, why should I buy the long-awaited sequel to one of the best Batman stories ever told?
Joe Patrick, There's this podcast that I listen to. It's called the Two-Headed Nerd Comic Book Podcast. And I don't know if you listen to it.
Is that right?
But not only should you listen to it, you should support them on Patreon. And this episode, actually, that you're listening to right now, I know this is a little meta, but stay with me. This episode that you're listening to right now, they do almost 30 minutes of a Patreon extra of exactly why you should buy this comic book and how important it's going to be. How's that? Huh?
It's bad because you didn't tell me why I should buy this comic. You told me I needed to listen to a podcast and then pay money.
Also pay for that.
A reason why.
Yes. I would see that's capitalism, man. This is why you're a bad capitalist. All right. You know exactly why we need to buy this.
You're a dummy. The THN trade of the week goes to We 3, the 20th anniversary deluxe edition hardcover from DC Comics Black Label.
No,
we can't.
No,
we can't have Vertigo anymore, so it's got to be under Black Label.
Reprints are Black Label now too, huh? Okay.
Yes, the reprints are Black Label.
Whatever.
Sandman shit's Black Label. Yes. It's written by Grant Morrison with art by Frank Quitely. It's 152 pages for $24.99. Here's your solicit. Celebrate the 20th anniversary of one of comics' masterpieces. From the legendary duo of Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely comes the journey of three house pets weaponized for lethal combat by the government, on the run and searching for home. Collecting the complete and expanded series with an extensive behind-the-scenes section. Look, We 3, talk about pushing stuff on people. I've sold so many copies of We 3, it's not even funny.
Oh my God.
But to have a nice anniversary deluxe hardcover, that's a no-brainer. $25 for a deluxe hardcover of We 3. Buy this book already.
But just get ready to cry your goddamn.
If you haven't read, if you know, you know. But if you haven't read it, it is one of the most beautiful, heartbreaking, I don't want to say anymore. Just know that it is wonderfully written, beautifully drawn, and it will tug on all your heartstrings. We 3 is a must buy.
Dog, cat, and even rabbit lovers, you've been warned.
Before this show gets downgraded to a miniseries due to poor sales, we wanted to give you a preview of our highly collectible Patreon extra. When you become a patron for as little as $1 per month, you can get full access to all kinds of extra THN content, just like this.
For now, you just get the blob like in Wolverine. So, you know.
I mean, it's a tease.
Yeah, it's a tease. Welcome, patrons, to another exciting THN Extra, where we give you extra stuff for money. So we don't really give it to you, you buy it. But that's not the point. If you're hearing this on the regular show, you get a 5-minute preview.
They're not really buying it. It's like getting a tote bag for supporting PBS.
That's still buying it. They just make it sound cute by saying, when you support, you're buying it.
Buying it implies you can give us $30 and get the tote bag.
You are buying it. And if you're spending $30 a month for this kind of quality, then as an atheist, I would like to say, God bless you, friend. Because you just bought another Cosmic Short Box THN Extra. We are revisiting a single issue this time, with next week's release of Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, which, what were they thinking here? I mean, come on.
I don't know.
They could have called it The Long Halloween, The Last One, and that would have been enough.
Or they could have just called it Batman, The Last Halloween, and we would have all understood.
Sure, we would have known. But we decided we should probably revisit where this all started, when Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale took the reins on Legends of the Dark Knight, the Halloween special, #1 from DC Comics back in 1993. Now, before we do those, Joe Patrick, what were these creators doing? Because this is their first Batman work, right? Jeff Loeb had never done Batman.
It gets kind of dicey when you're looking up specifics online, but like Tim Sale did do some Legends of the Dark Knight issues, but I don't know that they were written by Jeff Loeb. I believe that this is the first Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale together on Batman. Yes.
Okay.
Prior to this, Loeb and Sale collaborated on DC's Challengers of the Unknown relaunch in 1991. That was Jeff Loeb's first comics work. Sale got his start in 1984 He was working at first as an inker on Myth Adventures from Warp Graphics. Warp Graphics, also original publishers of ElfQuest, if that doesn't sound familiar. His first penciling job was the fantasy anthology series Thieves' World, starting in 1985. That was published by Starblaze Graphics. And then from there, he moved on to draw Matt Wagner's Grendel at Comico in the mid to late 80s, and that's where he was. And then immediately prior to Challenges of the Unknown, he worked on a Dark Horse series called Billy 99, which was some sort of like semi-autobiographical thing on behalf of the writer who I had not heard of. So
fair enough.
It wasn't tied to anything. It was just kind of its own separate solo project. But yeah, that's kind of where those guys, that's the genesis of their partnership. Sale had been in the business for about 5-6 years. Well, almost 10, I guess, by the time this one shot came out. Loeb had only been in the business for one previous project, and that was with Tim Sale.
Okay, so now before we jump into this, let's talk about what was going on in Batman at the time. The year was 1993, kind of a sleepy time for Batman. Nothing really big to mention, nothing that really pops into mind, other than Nightfall. Oh my God! Nightfall had taken over all the Bat books. Because Bane was a thing, he had just popped up the year before, and now Bane is the biggest thing ever, so why not have him break Batman's back, and then Azrael will become the new Batman, and that's basically what happened in Nightfall. You don't need to know anything else. Although I have a feeling we are going to end up reading this as a crew in the near future. But regardless of that,
yeah,
I went back to look before I just like dug on the internet and was like, all right, 1993, what's going on? I just went back through my Bat collection. It's like, why don't I remember anything that was going on that year? It's like, oh yeah, Nightfall. I was out on that shit. But I had like the whole run of Legends of the Dark Knight, which I absolutely loved. So I picked up this book back in 1993. Mask of the Phantasm had just hit theaters too, which was, so great. If you've never seen Mask of the Phantasm, it is
great.
Some of the darkest, best Batman animation ever. So great. But this comic was still kind of a departure for...
Right, because it wasn't an annual.
Right.
It was a one-shot. It was a spin-off of Batman Legends of the Dark Knight.
And Legends of the Dark Knight was really just stories told in the Bat universe. They could kind of be anywhere... I think typically they were set kind of early career, right?
Typically,
for the most part,
but not always. Sometimes Legends of the Dark Knight was like crazy what if kind of stuff.
Yeah, they did some weird stuff in there too. But this definitely felt classic.
This is early career Batman. Like he's like the villain is relatively new to him. This is pre-Robin. That's the main thing to remember is that their Batman one shots and Long Halloween are all set. Prior to Batman Year 3, which is when Robin, his partner.
Excelsior!
That is it for THN 754. If you dig our new comic reviews, check them out on YouTube as well. We need a little love there. We're trying to up our presence. You can also subscribe to each of our shows separately, the Back Issue Show and the Gang Hang, or listen to them as podcasts on YouTube Music. It's super neat. Next week, the Back Issue Show is back. But if you need more THN in the meantime, join us for the THN Gang Hang. We do it Saturdays at 11 o'clock Central. You can find out more about that on our Discord. Joe Patrick, what else do nerds do on our Discord these days?
All right. You can revive the Where's Mephisto debate in our Agatha All Along discussion thread.
Using the pages of Spirits of Vengeance this week.
Oh, well, apparently, yeah. I mean, in the MCU, like what insect on which wall is he hiding on?
Right.
You can join Matt in petitioning Marvel for a return of MC2's Lil Juggy.
No, I've had the opposite of that petition, please.
He loves the guy. And you can gain some very interesting insight about self-publishing comics, courtesy of our pal Adriano.
Nice guy. We like him.
Or maybe you just want to answer the question of the week. This week's question, in honor of Beetlejuice's hauntingly good performance at the box office, it's pretty great. It's a fun movie. What long dormant film franchise would you like to see have a similar resurrection?
Beastmaster.
I'm talking about
Beastmaster. All the way.
Sure.
Give me a Beastmaster.
For example, first answer out of the gate was Buckaroo Banzai. Perfect answer.
No, I don't.
Perfect answer.
No, don't bring it back. They'll ruin it. There's something so perfectly weird about it. I'm
But you know
afraid.
that we were supposed to get a sequel.
I'm scared for them to do any more now. No. Had they done a sequel exactly like that? Yes, 100%. But it needed to happen 6 months later before anybody saw the film.
Sure. Beastmaster is a great one. Yeah. Please keep your question of the week suggestions coming. We need them, and I am only a limited amount of creative. I'm about at my limit. My creativity is tapping out. You can sign up for our Discord with the link at twoheadednerd.com/Discord. You can post about any of our segments there. And hey, if you don't dig on the Discord, you can send an MP3 submission for the Comic Pushers, for Ask a Nerd, or for whatever to twoheadednerd@gmail.com, and we'll put you on the show. Just remember, the Worldwide Ziggurat has a strict no jerks allowed policy.
And the K is backwards and there's a Z in the end. No jerks. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. If you're new to the show and you can't stand all that adamantium clanging and banging either, I assure you, it's not too loud, you're just too old. And maybe you haven't heard enough. The good news is, you can hear the entire run of THN in our digital long box archive at twoheadednerd.com. THN is a listener-supported podcast. There ain't no ads here, and it wouldn't be possible without the generosity of donors like our patron, Mark Orenberger, host of the graphic novel Apostle podcast. It is a farly superior show to this one. Well-researched, well-executed. Check it out.
Smart dude.
Yeah.
He makes good content.
If you like what you hear every week, it's easy to support the show. You can sign up to be a patron at patreon.com/twoheadednerd. $1, people. All right?
I mean, considering
$1.
what you just said, maybe they should give their money to Mark.
I don't know if he has a patron page. I don't think he needs
I don't know. Maybe he should start one.
I think he's got some really good ad sponsorship.
Look, man, there's no money in podcasting unless you're Mark Maron, so what do I know?
There's no money for Mark Maron anymore either. Come on. Maybe
Somebody's paying
15
these
years
people.
ago. All right, old man.
Somebody's paying these people. I don't know. All right. Well, this is coming a little late, but before we go, we've had some time off, so we need to talk about it. Before we go, our weekly shout out goes to two artistic giants that we lost this month. First, actor James Earl Jones, the voice of our entire generation, passed away on September 9th. The iconic performer who brought Darth Vader and Mufasa to life was an accomplished stage and screen actor, attaining the rare EGOT status after accepting a Lifetime Achievement Oscar in 2011. And, lest I forget my audience, he also gave a legendary performance as Thulsa Doom in 1982's Conan the Barbarian. Jones was 93. He lived a good life. R.I.P.
We're just going to glance right over Field of Dreams, huh? We're just going to...
I mean, look,
Whatever.
dude. You want me to list his whole filmography? Everybody should know James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
He's a titan. We also lost veteran artist John Cassidy, who brought us unforgettable runs on titles like Planetary and Astonishing X-Men. John passed away on the 9th at the too young age of 52, following a week-long hospital stay. While the cause of his passing hasn't been shared, fans and industry professionals flooded social media to share their memories of the artist. It's been happening on our Discord for an entire week. Rest in peace, Mr. Jones and Mr. Cassidy. We are extremely grateful for the decades of art and entertainment that you gave us.
Until next time, True Relievers, remember to pre-order your comics, or your retailer might just remove their scary mask to reveal they were only voiced by a really good-looking, powerful black man, and they are, in fact, a pasty white guy under there. This is the Two-Headed Nerd, signing off.
A feeble, crusty old white man. You should play the clip from Chasing Amy.